Philadelphia news, team of my heart. In today's Sixers news, we uncover why Orlando Magic star Paolo Banchero is confident that his team can stand toe-to-toe with the Sixers, Celtics, and Knicks this season. The Sixers have had success against Orlando, but Banchero believes the Magic are now a legitimate threat in the Eastern Conference. This video breaks down how the Magic's improvements could impact Philly's playoff run and what it means for Sixers fans. You don't want to miss this crucial update in Sixers news. You know that feeling when everyone's talking about the same three teams, and yet deep down, you can't shake the feeling that someone's been left out? That's exactly what Orlando Magic's Paolo Banchero is getting at. You've seen the Sixers news blow up with talk about how they've beefed up their roster, how the Celtics are the defending champs, and how the Knicks are finally making some noise. But while everyone's been focused on these big names, Banchero's confidence is growing quietly in the background. He's not just confident, he's putting Orlando in the conversation with the same intensity that Sixers fans talk about their team. Think back to last season. Everyone was ready to write off the Magic as just another play-in team. You probably didn't even give them a second thought. But then they surprised everyone, making a strong push into the playoffs and almost knocking on the door of the second round. It's that same quiet, underdog energy that Banchero is channeling when he says, "We're right there with the Celtics, Knicks, and the Sixers." You've followed the Sixers long enough to know what it's like to have doubters. So, when Banchero talks about proving people wrong, you get it. You know that the Sixers have had their ups and downs, and just like you've had to defend your team, Banchero is defending his. He's pointing out how the Magic finished last season on a high note, grabbing the 5th seed and showing they're more than just a fringe playoff team. They didn't just scrape by, they were in the mix for one of the top spots in the East. And now, with some new additions and a squad that's getting better every day, he's saying, "Don't sleep on us." But here's where it gets interesting for you as a Sixers fan. The Magic are aiming to crash the party that the Sixers are a part of. Banchero's got his eyes on a top 4 spot, and he's not just throwing that out there. He's looking at what they've built and believing they can hang with the big boys in the East. And yes, that means going toe-to-toe with the Sixers. So, while you're keeping up with all the Sixers news, remember there's a team down in Orlando that's getting better, that's hungry, and that's looking at the same playoff spots the Sixers are aiming for. The question is, will the Sixers maintain their edge, or is Banchero's confidence about to make things a lot more interesting? The Sixers have dominated Orlando in recent years. Last season, they swept the Magic in 3 games, and you probably remember those matchups as comfortable wins. But don't let those victories fool you into thinking this season will be the same. The Magic have quietly retooled, and Banchero is at the center of that transformation. He's not just another talented player, he's becoming a leader, pushing his team to believe they belong with the elite. Orlando's progress is real. They finished last season with a better record than the Sixers, landing the 5th seed. You saw the Sixers struggle at times, especially when they had to fight through the play-in to secure their spot. While the Magic may not have the star power of Joel Embiid or the depth that's often highlighted in Sixers news, they have something just as dangerous, a chip on their shoulder and a point to prove. You've seen what happens when a team plays with something to prove. The Sixers themselves have been there, fighting for respect in a conference loaded with talent. Now, it's the Magic's turn to disrupt the pecking order. They're not just aiming to make the playoffs, they're coming for one of the top spots, a spot that the Sixers are also eyeing. Banchero's confidence isn't just talk, it's backed by a team that has grown, learned, and is ready to challenge anyone in their way, including the Sixers. As you watch the season unfold, you're going to see more of these under-the-radar teams trying to knock the Sixers off their path. Orlando's not making big headlines like Boston or New York, but that's exactly why they're dangerous. They're coming in under the radar, but with a hunger that's impossible to ignore. If the Sixers underestimate them, it could lead to a wake-up call no one in Philly is expecting. You know how it goes in the Eastern Conference, it's a battlefield every season. The Sixers have been through it all, the highs of deep playoff runs and the lows of tough early exits. This season, the stakes are even higher because the competition is fiercer than ever. The Magic aren't just another team on the schedule anymore. They're a legitimate threat, one that's been quietly building up and is now ready to take on the big names. You can feel that Banchero's confidence isn't misplaced. He sees what's happening in Orlando, and you should too. The Sixers' path to the top is going to be anything but easy. There's no question that the Sixers have the talent, but talent alone doesn't guarantee anything in this league. The Magic, with their underdog mentality and a leader like Banchero who's hungry to prove everyone wrong, are poised to make some serious noise. They're not just aiming to compete, they're coming for the same glory that the Sixers are chasing. And that's where things get interesting. Because every game against Orlando this season isn't just another win or loss, it's a statement game. When you look at the matchups ahead, especially against teams like Orlando, you can't help but feel a mix of excitement and concern. The Sixers have to bring their best every night, and that's what makes the season so compelling. The margin for error is razor thin, and every game matters. Banchero and the Magic are out to prove that last season wasn't a fluke, that they're ready to take that next step and challenge the established order. And the Sixers? They've got to be ready to meet that challenge head-on. So, as the season kicks into gear, you'll be keeping an eye on every Sixers news update, analyzing every game, and watching how the team stacks up against this new wave of competition. This is the time to lock in, to stay connected with everything happening on and off the court. The Sixers are in for a fight, and you wouldn't want to miss a second of it. If you're as ready as I am to see how this all plays out, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss any updates as the Sixers battle their way through this season, facing teams like Orlando who are just as hungry for success. This is where it all happens, right here, right now.